Guess what? Being different is better than being better. Today, this is Alan
and Betsy
coming to you from coastal Virginia. And you know, one thing we hear over and over, Betsy we were talking about it the other night, having a conversation, sitting there having dinner. And she said, you know, one thing my clients keep telling us is we're just different than everybody else.
Yes, and they continue to brag on me. And I had one actually yesterday who was in tears. He had asked me to come back to his house, and he said, I need to make sure this house is at Betsy expectation before I turn it over. I'm very emotional, to the new buyers. And I said, okay, no problem. I'll walk in. And he was so grateful. And he said, I could never have done this without you and Amanda and Vicky and Hannah. And he just kept going on. And he said, Betsy, you don't understand. You're not like anybody else. And he had tried
That's for sure.
Well, yeah, that is for sure. He had tried to sell his house 6 years ago, 3 different times. And 5 years ago, he had called me, and then COVID hit. And they were very COVID scared people. And so we didn't put it on the market. And he called me up. And you guys all probably know the market has shifted a lot over the past couple of months. So it's become very different. And he said, I was very scared, Betsy. I was scared that we might have to do some price reductions or anything, but no, we sold this house. And he said, I never would have done it without your team. He goes, you know, a lot was, you didn't just come into this house and say, we're going to put this house on the market. He goes, and it was different. He goes, it's not just you. You bring your vendors who are all phenomenal, Betsy. He goes, they come in here and they're so professional and everything just gets done. He goes, Vicky, she's right on top of it. And she just brings everybody and everybody's just professional and they're wonderful and everything just gets done perfectly. And it's just a machine. And Amanda, she's just so ready and everything's great. And you can be out of town and everything just gets done so systematically. And he's right. A typical agent is just one person and they're trying to do everything on their own. And the number one problem in real estate to most people is communication. And people wonder, they say, and I get this a lot on listings, how can you sell so many houses yet always be available? Because I am. Because I have a huge staff that's doing things that I don't need to do. You know, it's the support.
You know, on my whiteboard in my office, it says above it, it says different is better than better. And I'm constantly looking at things. My job, because I'm not out in front of clients anymore. I don't get to be out there and see the clients and meet the clients and go on listings. My job is to work on the business, not in the business. And one of the things that my job is to do is to look to make it efficient and to make it smooth and to make the software and the technology and everything that our team needs to make sure it's there to do what the client needs. And so that's what most agents never get to work on their business. You know, the agents that are fortunate enough to have business, because 7% of the agents do 93% of the business. The agents that are fortunate enough to have the business, it's chaos for most of these individual agents out there. They have to prospect, and then they have to contact people, and they have to communicate, and they have to go on appointments, and they have to do photography, and they have to schedule the showings, and they have to do all the paperwork and fill in the blanks and do the addendums and meet contractors.
The inspection and
do
the appraisal. And
hundreds of things that have to happen for them to get one transaction. Well, what we have done is we've hired the best people. And I learned this long ago, that if you have to get an A player over a B player and you got to pay them 20% more than the B player, they will do 10 times more than that B player.
Absolutely.
And we look to constantly have a team of A players.
Right.
Here's what we have. We have a standard. Most people in society, in the country, in real estate, have dropped their standards to the lowest common denominator,
right.
And we will not do that. I push the team hard. Sometimes they don't like hearing it. I'm in a meeting and I look and I say, no, here's the way it's going to be.
Right.
And they don't like hearing that sometimes. However, I do it to hold a standard for the clients, for the team members. And that's what you don't get with other agents. Face it, if an agent only sells 2 houses a year, do they have a standard?
No.
Come on. That is below minimum wage. They could make more than that working at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. Why would you trust them with your house? Would you go into brain surgery, into that hospital, knowing there's going to be one person in that operating room with you? There's not going to be an anesthesiologist. There's not going to be a nurse in there, and there's not going to be an assistant. Would you go into that operation with one person in that room?
No.
We don't do that.
Right. I describe that to my clients all the time because I do think this is your biggest asset that you have for most people. For most people. Why would you not want the absolute best in hiring that person? That is what people need. They want the absolute best person out there when you're trying to get that. Because why? Why? Because we're the best negotiators that you're going to get. We're going to, I mean, you know, when people drive by the office, they always go, why are you still at the office, Betsy? It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. Well, I'm probably going to be here till 9 o'clock on a Sunday night because that's when I'm negotiating your house.
And
I
just wrote an article. It's coming out in Sunday's newsletter for the people that do get it. That issue right there, we love what we do. Work is a passion for both of us. We are very fortunate to have found each other because that's why many couples separate in real estate is we both have the same work ethic and both have the same passion for it. So if you want to know more about this, make sure you are liking us
and subscribing to us.
And so that we can still bring this information to you, because here's the problem. Real estate, for the most part, most real estate agents, they are not transparent. They don't want you to know all this stuff. We want to keep bringing you information that will help put money in your pocket, build equity in your house, and ensure that your real estate transactions are smooth and go the way you want.
Right, and we want better agents. And so we bring this information to agents to make them better people. We speak nationally to bring this to agents to better them. We have coaches, more than one coach, in order to make ourselves better every single solitary day. We do that in order to make ourselves better. Alan spends money where sometimes I think it's stupid. And I'm like, why do we spend money on this? To make ourselves better. Sometimes we waste money to make ourselves better.
That's the process.
You know? And I'm like, okay, well, we learned. It didn't work. Next. But then the next one works. And that brings you better value because it makes us better.
And so that's the thing, is if an agent's out there, if they're that marginal, mediocre agent out there doing 2, 3, 4, 5 deals a year, they can't expend the money to constantly be learning, to constantly be upgrading, to constantly be bringing you the best, and to have an A-team staff like we do.
Right.
So until next time, Alan
and Betsy.
See you soon.